Hello and welcome to the Lordly Verdict. Now, I'm sorry I haven't done things in a while. I've been a bit busy looking into some new stuff. See, I've got some new games. Not only have I rented Splatoon, you there you are, from Gamefly. See, Splatoon. I've also got Batman Arkham Knight on my brand new PS4. Both of those are potential reviews I'm looking at in the future, as well as my reviews of stuff like Wolf Children and Kamen Rider Game. The problem is I've gotten a bit of ADHD and been so busy looking at potential reviews, I forgot to, talk about my old stuff. Now, previously I reviewed Prototype 2's story, and it got long. I mean, really long. So I decided to break it off and do something else. So now I'm going to review the second half of Prototype 2, the gameplay. And it's actually quite good, albeit not perfect. It does, however, get a bit repetitive later on. I'd go over the basics, but there's not really much to it. I mean, it's your standard weak, strong block kind of game. You know the one. You have a weak attack, you have a strong attack, you can block. You can also dodge it all. It's the same thing used for everything from God of War to Metal Gear Rising. And it's a really hard system to screw up. And they don't screw it up that much. I mean, you have a good bit of powers, but you can only hold two at a time, and there's a problem with it. They don't really feel that different. I mean, once you get past the first couple. One of them goes for your weak attack, one of them goes to your strong attack. They look awesome, but you generally just need the one for killing enemies and one for killing groups. Essentially, you use Claw or its upgrade Blade, or Tentacles or their upgrade Hammer Fist. Some enemies are immune to piercing attacks, but conveniently all the group attacks are smashing, which kills them dead. And once you enable the really powerful blocking ability, battles become, if not easy, at least repetitive. You see, blocking in this, the shield power has been completely changed since Prototype 1. The shield power just comes up whenever you press the button and you block with it. And that's it. You block, you block, you block, and then you counter when they're open. Countering is really easy, and there's even a friendly button press to start the death blow. The only mini that doesn't have this is the Evolved, and they're actually more frustrating than hard. See, the problem with this game is that the shield is actually too good. It blocks all damage, and all the enemies except military mooks are way too big on well-choreographed melee attacks. I mean, this is a game where turtling is a really viable option. Now, don't get me wrong, the combat isn't boring. It's really fast-paced, and the weakness trick works to make enemies that you should be able to wear down pretty fast, well, that would wear you down and just get boring kind of easy. The problem is the Evolved are all really kind of the same. They have the same AI, they all use the Blade, and after the first third, they're all the go-to boss. Evolved. And they don't have that weakness, so matches get really come down to endurance and get annoying. And killing civilians for health is no longer as viable. The military just keeps wearing you down until you get bulletproof, and once you get bulletproof, they're just boring. So they can easily become more frustrating than hard. Still, I enjoyed the first couple things at least, and then I just kind of got repetitive. The basic system is solid, I'll admit, but the enemy variety isn't quite enough. They rely far too much on Evolved, on hunters which attack you one at a time, and minions, and that's about it. And while they come up with a few cool things, they quickly become far too easy. I mean, Bruisers and Orions, or Hunters and Orions, are quickly weak to armor. Tanks are ridiculously weak to Hammer Fist. And once you gain Hijack, there's no way the tanks will ever become dangerous again. Hijacking them is quick, easy, and that's it. And that's even before you get to the end of the first island out of 3. After that, they just get repetitive. That's out of the first island out of 3, you've made most of the encounters kind of boring. And the upgrades are good, common, and require neat side quests, but they're all kind of the same. Half the upgrades are just be a bit better at one of these things. You can run faster, you can hit harder, you can take less damage. There are multiple trees, but it lacks the customizability of the side quest wheel. The powers upgrade thing with evolution points. All evolution points are for you level up and get just a little better at one thing. You don't have that feeling of getting a cool new trick. And the side quests are fun, but they're various. I mean, you get side quests of do something to Blackwash. You get layer missions, which are just kill all these enemies. And really, most of the side quests are kill all the enemies. Half the Blackwatch things are kill all the enemies. All the layer missions are kill all the enemies. The problem is, you've done all the side quest types by the end of the first island, and they never really get harder in difficulty. I mean, all the Field Ops team's things can be killed in one shot by your super move. The black box story tidbits are just not that interesting. There's no depth to them anymore. The Web of Intrigue have you slowly get little things about the stuff, but in this you really don't. All you get are Blackwatch is evil, Blackwatch is evil, Blackwatch is evil. You never get to learn more about the Evolved, more about Alex Mercer, more about any of the other things. I bitch a lot about the game, but it's a solid, albeit simple system. It works to be a simplified, perfected version of Prototype System, or at least it's trying, but it goes too far. It's too simple. It's not bad, but I did actually kind of die to a few bosses, but I never really had to tweak my strategy. I just felt like I got unlucky. It lacks staying power. It gets stale a bit too soon, and the Evolved don't really help shake up the difficulty. It never has that holy crap moment. And this is where a game's story becomes important. It keeps the player invested. It keeps the player with some nice twists. Except Prototype 2 doesn't do that. Heller as a protagonist just can't carry the story. He has the same problem Kratos did in God of War 2. He's just kind of a jerk. I mean, he's a badass, but he's a generic badass. With that said, here's why I think this bombed. Bad story and bad marketing. They tried to push Heller really hard. The problem is, by doing this, they got all the old fans pissed. People liked Alex Mercer and they got attached to him. Then they hear, some new guy's taking over. He's the new guy. It's the same issue with Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 2. And the more information that Heller told, the more people just kind of got, and they didn't pick the game up. And by the time it did come out, they didn't bother. It was just more of the same. It didn't feel new. It didn't feel different. And they had no real need to pick it up. The gameplay didn't have the fire that Prototype 1 did. And it came out in a bad month, where sales are normally good. But Infamous 2 was really well done. It came out in a bad month and didn't hit its sales goals. This is one of the few games where a bad story and some misaimed marketing just killed the franchise. It happens, but this is a bad death. It's a shame seeing the game, and it's a shame because a third one fixing it could have actually redeemed the franchise. And there were a lot of cool things in Prototype 1 we wanted expanded on. More about Pariah, more about what happened with Dana. And honestly, from playing Prototype 1, secretly, I think Dana went in the weird direction. I think Prototype 1 was setting up for Dana to become a runner, to become a boss like Elizabeth Green. But they didn't follow up on that. Dana does appear, but it's just as, I'm your new helper. So, I've got one more review with this. I've been playing through Prototype 1, and I'm going to do a retrospective to explain all that happened. I'm going to see about what it changed, and fact of the matter is, looking back at it, there's a lot of good stuff that Prototype 1 did that this doesn't have. So, I'm going to see what really made this game good or bad, and give you one more while I work on Arkham Knight, Splatoon, and some others. Thank you for looking at the Lordly Verdict. I hope you come back again soon.